I grew up in, a very disciplined and very fair household, whereby in those days when the rules are set, but majorly my mom, when she set the rule, everybody must follow the rule. Now, if you don't follow the rule, the repercussions, or probably you're given a chore to do and you didn't do it, the repercussions, the consequences are clear. Now, the repercussions were never vague and were never bent. So if you're told, Jibola, if you're not going to do this or you don't do this, you won't watch TV for 3 days. That is it. No matter how much you cry, no matter, mommy, I won't do it again, mommy, help me, mommy, I'm sorry. The rules were not bent and the repercussions were not vague. I learned how to be accountable from childhood. And I've seen a lot of people who lost it from childhood, whereby whenever they do things wrong, their parents forgave them, brought them back and all. So they brought also this attitude to the workplace that whenever you don't accomplish your task, that your boss should forgive you. I learned to be accountable from childhood. And that's why so many workplaces, they have a lot to fix. Some are fixing things that people lost from home. So many people that work with us are practically displaying ABS. I call it adult baby syndrome. They are still young at heart by not being accountable. And so many managers find it difficult to hold people accountable for what they've not done. And it's becoming a culture, a business culture, in an environment that no matter what, even when you're technically sound and you've grown for a while, for you to earn more or for you to have more status, more benefits, you must be a manager. And people take on managerial roles not because they're ready for it, just because that's the way forward to advancing their life, even when they find it difficult to hold people accountable. When you talk about accountability, it's about delivering on a commitment. It's about being responsible to an outcome, not just set of tasks. It's also about taking initiative with thoughtful and strategic following through. I've seen a lot of managers yell. In fact, sometimes they get so angry. And I've seen some raise up their hands, all in the bid of trying to hold someone accountable. I was in Port Harcourt one time and I was taking a talk on management, and somebody raised up his hand from the crowd. He said, Jibola, hold on. What if the people that work with me were sent from the pit of hell? Won't you have to raise your hand and try to? Guess what? I've used all those before. None of them works. When people fall short of what they're meant to do, shouting, being angry, does not make them accountable. In fact, if you keep doing that, it will reduce their motivation, their performance, and sometimes they become aggressive. You need to learn how best to be able to hold your people accountable for results. There's a way to it, and I'll be taking you in a couple of minutes what you need to do in order to make your people more accountable for business results. The faster you learn it, the faster you grow as an effective manager, holding team members accountable for results. So, in order to hold people accountable, you need to be very clear in 5 areas. And the first one is you have to have clear expectation. Your expectations, your outcomes, your results you expect must be crystal clear. No confusion. what you want them to do, how you measure performance. All those things must be clear. In fact, sometimes I recommend that it's a two-way conversation to make sure that they understand what you understand, and let them put it into writing and do what? Loud it. Write it out and loud it out so that there's no confusion about your expectations. So the second thing you should be clear about is you should be clear about capabilities. For every goal achievement, there's a required level of capability. Now, if you have someone in your team that you want to delegate a task to that does not have the capability, you need to make a plan. Is either you want to groom that person to have the capability to deliver it, or you find somebody else. If you don't, it's as if you have a pig and you're expecting the person to score a egg goal. Pigs don't lay eggs. Do they have capability for the goals or not? You must be very objective about this so that you don't fail from the beginning. What if you have a team of footballers that cannot play football and you expect to win? They lack capabilities and they can. The best they will give you is to give you a loss. So the third thing to be clear about is you should be clear about the measurements. Are we going to be reviewing your progress weekly, daily? I remember in Scrum, we do stand-up meetings every morning to review progress. You must be clear about measurements. And if somebody falls short of probably the results, you must quickly get that person back on track. Be clear about it and there's no confusion about measurements. Number 4, you need to be clear about feedbacks. When it comes to feedback, you must be open and objective. It is very, very critical to be clear about feedbacks. When people, they're not performing or doing what they're meant to do, you need to sit them down and have a review, a discussion. You're not getting it right. You're not doing it well. You're not meeting my expectations. There are measures, the performance appraisal, there are clear-cut objective measures to show that you're not meeting up. Either the person needs to build more capability, or whatever you need to discuss. You need to discuss it as fast as possible, because you are not going to budge when it comes to the goal. Is that that person builds capability, or you do something about it right away? But you must give feedback to that person, to your team, about progress, about how they are doing or not. This feedback is critical and it must be objective. The fifth area you should be clear about, and that is if you've been clear about the previous 4, you have clear expectations, you have clear capabilities, you have clear measurements, you have clear feedback, you've been deliberate about all these things. Then the last one is clear consequences. You know, I read a book called The Art of War for Managers. So when the structures are clear and when people will not do what they're meant to do, it's the fault of the general. It's no longer the fault of the people, because the consequences should be very clear. Because you've done all well in the other areas, you've gone given great feedbacks, that you're not satisfied with the delivery, then this is the moment of truth. Weak managers avoid this. And if you're weak in this area, you will not be able to get the dividends in other ones you've done well. Clear consequences, and 2 things you will do. You can do in the stage. Number 1, you can hide a reward if that person has been doing things good, promotion, sport award, whatever you want to give incentives, if that person have delivered to expectation. And the second thing you can do, if that person have not done it well, after you've given feedback, after you've done all you should do, is to release that person off the team. Release that person off the team. Very, very, very important. Now, get them out as fast as possible of the boss. Be deliberate about this, because managers are trained not only to hire, but also have the capacity to fire when you're not getting your results. You've hired a solution to your problem, and the solution does not bring solution. What do? That person becomes a new problem to your team and your organization. And sometimes some managers don't take action because they don't pay the bills. If you're a business custodian, you will be able to take effective decisions. So thanks for listening. However, building a culture of accountability is key if your organization will be able to achieve its goals. Now, it must be built into the system, into the engine room of the system. It must not be an event. It must be a way of life, a culture of accountability. And your managers in your organization must learn this skill, or else they kill your organization in front of you. See you in my next episode.
Seed Academy, empowering people